Look at your 5 closest friends. Now be honest. How much money do they make? How disciplined are they? How do they treat women? How do they spend their time? What do they complain about? What do they aspire to? Now here's the uncomfortable question. Are you really that different from them? Most men believe they're independent thinkers, self-made, immune to influence. They think, I make my own decisions, nobody controls me. But influence doesn't require control. It requires proximity. You don't rise above your environment. You become it. Your friends are deciding your future, quietly, slowly, every single day. And if you don't understand this, you'll wake up 10 years from now living a life you didn't consciously choose, surrounded by the same conversations, the same routines, the same limitations, just older. Influence doesn't look dramatic. It's subtle. It's the jokes you normalize. It's the standards you tolerate. It's the habits you absorb without noticing. It's the excuses that start sounding reasonable. If your circle drinks every weekend, eventually you do too. If your circle skips the gym, you skip the gym. If your circle laughs at ambition, you start downplaying yours. If your circle complains about women, money, and the system, you start sounding the same. You think you're just hanging out, but you're calibrating your standards. Human beings are wired for adaptation. We adjust to the social temperature around us. If everyone around you is average, average starts to feel acceptable. And once average feels acceptable, growth feels extreme. Discipline feels obsessive. Ambition feels arrogant. Focus feels antisocial. That's how potential dies. Not from failure, from comfort. Here's something most men never realize. Your environment sets your ceiling. If no one around you earns more than a certain amount, that becomes your subconscious limit. You may say you want more, but you rarely outperform your internal definition of normal. If no one in your circle runs a business, entrepreneurship feels unrealistic. If none of your friends invest, building wealth feels complicated. If none of them wake up early, discipline feels optional. If none of them read, self-education feels unnecessary. You don't just absorb habits, you absorb possibility. Your brain is constantly scanning for evidence of what's realistic. And the strongest evidence it sees is the people closest to you. When you're surrounded by men who train hard, build businesses, read books, take responsibility, your standards rise automatically. Not because you're forced, because your identity adjusts. You start thinking, this is normal. You start thinking, this is possible. And that's powerful. Because once something feels normal, it becomes achievable. This is where it gets uncomfortable. A lot of men stay in weak circles because of loyalty. We grew up together. They've always been there. That's my boy. We've been through everything. Listen carefully. History does not equal alignment. Shared memories do not guarantee shared direction. Just because someone was part of your past does not mean they deserve a permanent role in your future. If your friends mock ambition, dismiss discipline, avoid responsibility, or resent your growth, they are not neutral influences. They are anchors, and anchors don't scream. They don't attack you directly, they just keep you exactly where you are. You don't have to hate them. You don't have to disrespect them. You don't have to make an announcement. But you do have to decide, are these men building the life I want? Or are they protecting the version of me that feels safe to them? Because when you start improving, some people feel threatened. Not because they dislike you, but because your growth highlights their stagnation. Growth creates distance. That's normal. Elevation often requires separation. Here's the deeper truth. You don't become successful alone. You become successful when your identity changes. And identity is social. Who you believe you are is heavily influenced by who you are around. If you're the most disciplined guy in your group, eventually you'll either shrink to fit in or outgrow the group. Very few men can sustain growth while constantly defending it. If every time you say you're working late on your goals, someone says, relax, it's not that serious, live a little, that resistance wears you down. If every time you decline a night out because you're focused, you're called boring, that pressure accumulates. Energy leaks, focus splits, you start negotiating with your own standards. You tell yourself you'll get serious next month, next year, when things calm down. But put yourself in a room where everyone is focused. Now you're the one who feels pressure in a good way. Now discipline is contagious. Now ambition is normal. Now progress is expected. Environment isn't about motivation. It's about friction. Is your circle reducing friction toward success or increasing friction? Are they pushing you forward or pulling you back to what's comfortable? Ask yourself this. If I stay around these same 5 men for the next 5 years, where will I end up? Not in theory, in reality. Based on their habits, their income trajectory, their discipline level, their mindset, their health, their relationships. Be brutally honest. Will you be fitter, richer, more confident, more emotionally stable, more capable, or exactly where you are now? Just older, with better stories but the same results? Most men drift. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack potential, but because they underestimate proximity. You absorb language. You absorb emotional reactions. You absorb ambition levels. You absorb what is laughed at and what is respected. You start laughing at the same excuses. You start repeating the same limitations. You start lowering your expectations quietly. And slowly, the life you once imagined becomes unrealistic. Not because it is, but because no one around you embodies it. So what do? You don't announce it. You don't post about it. You don't burn bridges dramatically. You upgrade intentionally. You increase exposure to better standards. Join a serious gym where men train with intensity. Attend networking events where conversations are about building, not complaining. Take skill-based classes where improvement is expected. Work from places where ambitious people operate. You don't need 20 high-level friends. You need proximity to higher standards. Even one disciplined, focused, driven man in your life can recalibrate your mindset. Even being in environments where excellence is normal can shift your internal expectations. And here's something powerful. When you elevate yourself, your circle shifts naturally. Some friends rise with you, some become distant, some disappear quietly. That's not betrayal. That's evolution. This doesn't mean isolation. Men need brotherhood. But real brotherhood sharpens you. It calls out your excuses. It challenges your comfort. It demands integrity. It respects discipline. It celebrates progress. Weak circles bond over comfort. Strong circles bond over growth. Weak circles escape reality. Strong circles confront it. One keeps you entertained. The other keeps you evolving. And the scary part? Most men don't realize they're in a weak circle until they meet a strong one. Until they sit at a table where everyone is building something. Until they train with men who don't quit. Until they hear conversations about ownership, accountability, and long-term thinking. Then suddenly they see what standards actually look like. And they realize how low theirs had become. Here's the part nobody likes hearing. If your circle is weak, you chose it. And if you stay, you're choosing your outcome. That's not judgment. That's responsibility. And responsibility is power, because it means you can change it. You are not stuck. You are positioned. And positioning can be adjusted. You don't need permission to grow. You don't need approval to elevate. You don't need consensus to level up. But you do need courage to leave environments that no longer match your ambition. Look around again. Really look. The conversations, the habits, the ambition level, the discipline, the health, the mindset, the emotional maturity, that is your preview. Your friends are deciding your future. Not because they control you, but because proximity shapes you. If you want a different future, get around different men. Raise the standard, change the room. Change the expectations. Or accept the outcome. The choice is yours. But make it consciously, because 10 years from now, you will either thank your circle for sharpening you or quietly resent it for softening you. Choose wisely.